Yes, I see a lot of people joining. Hi, Zen. Great to see you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, wow, I love the hearts.
Yes. Hi, Christina Blue, Blossom. Wonderful to meet you in person. And Georgina's calling from the UK. Great to see you, Georgina. Wow, I love this. Look at this gathering here. Wow. I'm just admitting more people from the waiting room in. So you can put your Zoom on gallery view to see everybody here, actually. Dakota, wow. Great to see you. Dakota's joining from Ecuador. And Paul Mooney, oh my gosh, hi Paul, so wonderful to see you. Wow.
Oh, good to see you in person.
And France, oh my goodness. I would love to, just to get a sense of how global we are, I would love to either feel free to unmute or share in the chat where you're calling from. So I'm Lisa, I'm calling from San Francisco, and we have Katharina here. And Katharina, do you want to share where you're calling from?
I'm calling, I can share here, Katharina. I'm calling from Lake Bodensee in Switzerland. And we should have Marta from Portugal joining soon as well, hopefully.
Oh, I'm going to keep admitting more people in as we share. So,
I see Shelly from Israel.
So yeah, feel free to drop in the chat, like I said, or unmute to share where you're calling from. That way we can get a sense of how global we are. I've met many people here before, but some are new friends, and great to see you. And I see Corey joining. Hi, Corey.
Hey.
So,
Corey, where are you?
I am in Chicago, and I'm in my car, but I'm not driving.
That's good.
Be safe. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. And JD, welcome, JD. So here's a little networking tip, right? Today, it's about coming together to see the future with love on Valentine's Day, but I would love to also activate networking for all of us who are here. So I do recommend clicking the three little dots on your Zoom page and just add your passion project, right? So that people can connect the dots and connect after as well with you. So yes, thank you for joining today. We'll start in a few minutes, but for, right now, we'll just use this time to make some connections. So we have, people joining from Switzerland, from Wales, UK, from Guatemala, from Zurich, from Norway, from Netherlands, and let me keep admitting more people here. We have people from Chicago, Lake Constance, San Francisco. You see how we're connecting around the world right now? This is amazing. So, and we have Alan here from Portugal. So yes, feel free to drop your LinkedIn in the chat if you like to be connected. Hi, Alan. I'm just gonna keep admitting people in.
Hey, Lisa. Hey, everyone.
So wonderful to see you. So we have Martha. Oh, Martha. Okay. So let me just, yes, feel free to drop your LinkedIn. We're gonna activate connections at this gathering today, but we are also here to learn about seeding the future of love. Hi, Martha. Wonderful to see you in person. So you can either see speaker view or gallery view. I'm going to keep admitting. Oh, we have people from Africa joining. I'm just going to keep admitting. Yeah, so those who just popped into the room, feel free to drop into the chat where you're calling from. Yes, and also I was mentioning about putting in, you can also add your passion project to the chat. So anyway, why don't we get started? And there's Ari. Hi, Ari. Wonderful to see you. All right. So my name is Lisa Ma, for those of you that I haven't gotten a chance to meet yet. But first of all, happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for joining Seeding the Future Together with Love today. I'm really happy to co-host this event with Katharina to shine the light on this regeneration project that Marta and community is working on. And so today is really about holding space, to share space and see what amazing things that we are all doing around the world, because we all have passion projects and we all are working on uplifting the world together. And when Katharina first introduced me to this regenerative project of Mértola, it really resonated with my heart. And this is why I'm happy to connect and amplify the great work that all the earth healers and advocates of this land is working on. So before I hand it off to Katharina, I would love to share the video that really spoke to my heart, and you will recognize the voice in a second of this video. So I will share my screen and we will introduce and so that see for ourselves.
Mértola is at the heart of the beautiful valley of the Guadiana River in southeastern Portugal. This is a landscape of extreme contrasts, of beauty and harsh climate and living conditions for people, plants and animals. Land use, exploitation of the soil and climate change have led to extreme loss of soil fertility here. The fields are stripped of trees and exposed to the scorching sun. Creating an alliance of various active organizations and fostering collaboration between humans and nature, we started to regenerate this beautiful valley. We enable this through our knowledge of the territory and with support of international best practices of regeneration. Through experimentation and experience in the fields, we continuously learn and improve the regenerative approaches that best work under our conditions in Mértola.
We are here in Mértola at the Agroecology Center. This is a space where we promote agroecological and regenerative practices, empowering the community and farmers in this region for a more autonomous and resilient future. This is not just a project, but a process in which everyone feels part of. An initiative of hopes, of community and plants.
My name is Tiago. I come from Brazil to participate in an agroecological training program, which enabled me to learn and practice regenerative agriculture here in Mértola.
Only with access to climate-adapted and drought-resilient plants, the farmers will be able to regenerate this valley and the soil can heal. And this is where we need your support. With your contribution, we will be able to run and establish our regenerative nursery that will provide many farmers with adapted plants and seeds for regeneration.
It will be amazing if we have here in Mértola our own regenerative nursery that will provide me and other farmers the best locally adapted plants and seeds for the conditions here.
Here in Mértola, we have a dream. We dream of reversing the degradation of the soil, bringing back vegetation and water to the land, and perspectives to the community. Today, after some years of regenerative work, we are delighted to see that it actually works, and we can regenerate the land. We have already started to live our dream. For the next steps, and for inviting even more farmers to join the regenerative movement, we need access to plants and seeds. And in Mértola, we need to focus on working with those species and varieties that are resilient to heat and drought, and adapted to the difficult semi-arid climate conditions. This is at the heart of the regenerative nursery, which we call Horto of forgotten varieties of Al-Andalus. With your support, we will be able to build up the necessary capacities to seed the future regeneration and provide all the farmers with the locally adapted plants to regenerate the soil and produce local and healthy organic vegetables and fruits. Thank you very much for your support. We are looking forward to welcoming you here with us in Mértola.
I hope we all enjoy the video. So as you can see, one of the reasons why this really spoke to my heart was because it made me realize the butterfly effect. You know, the butterfly effect, like said, if something happens across the planet, it affects all of us. Right. So I see what's happening in Mértola. It really makes me want to support and amplify this project. And so today we have Katharina and Marta here that you recognize in the video to come and share their story. So I would love to introduce Katharina and have Katharina share what inspired you to support this amazing project and what spoke to you about wanting to help. And if you can share more about that and also your passion project.
Thank you so much, Lisa, and thank you everyone that is here. I'm really moved by this international crowd that is coming together, and it's very, very local and like an acupuncture point, and it feels sort of global because in a way we are all sharing the same challenges on all levels. This desertification is not only the soil, it's also the soul. So it's things that we all share as challenges, and coming together gives me a lot of hope. Actually, Lisa, if I'm allowed, I would share something else before I go into it.
Yes,
if I may.
Great.
And it's very short. It's very short, just a few voices of the farmers. Let me see if I'm able to do that. Can you see that?
Yes, you are good.
Food Network.
So that was very short, an introduction. I just shared it out of one reason, because we are here on Valentine's Day, and this is actually a love song. It's the farmers actually, their voices of singing a love song to the land, and you can hear there's, the voices, it was very short now, but there's a lot of sadness, there's a lot of longing to the land, and longing to water actually as well. But there's also a spark of hope. And I was, I wanted to share that because we are here on Valentine's Day, and it's actually very interesting. Valentine's Day, there are some layers of stories covering, which are about martyrdom and these kind of things that sort of over the centuries the church put above that. But if you really look what Valentine's Day, or what is beneath that story, it's actually a story which, was dedicated to the ancient expressions, and some of them were, in the Romans was the god of Pan, and that was related to a love to the earth, and Faun, the god of agriculture. That's very interesting. So it's actually a wonderful day that we are coming here together to put the spotlight on this particularly, loving the land. And I truly believe that this is why we are here. It's about loving the land. It's about loving soil, loving earth, loving the water, and loving each other. So this is really what this is about. And since I can remember, as I grew up in Portugal, I was in love with this river, the Guadiana. And I can still, even though there are, thousands of years of exploitation and really damaging and mining and all of these things, I still can see the beauty. I still can see the abundance that is there, that once was there. And I wanted to start with another story. It's actually a story that is told, I'm actually not sure where the quote comes from, probably as well from the Romans, that is that, there was in old times, a squirrel could actually jump from oak tree to oak tree from the whole Iberian Peninsula, which is, Portugal, Spain, until Italy, without hitting the ground. Can you imagine? This area that you just saw in the first film, which is now like this vast land was stripped off of trees. But this was once a whole dense and abundant oak forest. So this is the picture that I'm still having. And if we are successful with what we are building here, the idea is that maybe the squirrel from Rome can jump back to the Iberian Peninsula until Mértola. That was the one story I wanted to share before we go into the thing. Also, another story about this river. Actually, the elders in that region, they still remember, and they share that they are saying there were 3 river spirits that came, that all started in Spain at the same point, and they were asked to do like a race to the west. But the river Guadiana was more the feminine one. It didn't like the idea of racing. It was more about beauty and and actually woke up early in the morning with the first sunrise and started flowing and looking for the most beautiful river basin, which made the river the Guadiana turn south instead of west. And because it sort of didn't participate in the race, it got another task. So the spirits gave that river a different task, which was to become the guardian of the Mediterranean as well. And if you know from your geography, this is not an easy task to take care of the Mediterranean. But culturally, that makes sense, because actually for many centuries, the Mértola was at the center of the whole influence from what we call the Al-Andalus, which was the south of Spain, and then going to northern Africa, and this whole region was connected. And this is also why we are naming our project the Plant Nursery, the nursery of the forgotten varieties of the Al-Andalus, because although it's very, very local, if we look at the climate conditions and if we look at what is needed, because what is actually happening is that the drought or the really semi-arid climate zone is moving up. So it makes absolute sense to, again, reconnect to that wisdom and look for the forgotten varieties of the whole entire region, which includes, Northern Africa and what was already there. So this is the story. And there is, so the reason why this is so important and to actually work there is that there have been many thousands of years of also exploiting this beautiful landscape, and the story is, always the story. This is very much related to money. It's the promise of people coming in, the promise of investment or bringing in, wealth, bringing in power. But then, people came and extracted first the gold and then the silver and then the copper. And in the 60s, the last mine was basically closed and left many people unemployed. And also later, the trees were cut and the whole water cycle was disrupted. And as a last phase, then the monoculture of agriculture, of wheat production, annual crops was there until the soil couldn't bear it anymore. So there are different stories there. And there's the story of, exploiting the land. And yeah, our initiative is really to bringing back the abundance and bringing back the hope to this region, because there's a certain downward spiral if the climate is changing and you have ever severe climate conditions, then the young people don't have hope anymore, and then they go away, right? So, and I've been looking, you know, after many years of living in Switzerland, after having left Portugal and working with sustainable finance and all of these things, and looking for the biggest leverage points for change, and looking, you know, for where is it that we can change politics or talk with central bankers, I realized that it's not always, you know, if you look at it, water and money have some similarities, right? And if we really understand that right, it can either be, the reality is that even though there are funds, also new funds created, usually the money is not yet coming where it should be coming to these communities. So there's a certain gap there. And sometimes there comes even too much, and that can be a flood, you know. So there are some similarities between, you know, money and how money works today, and how the water is working. And after many years, I was back in Portugal, actually, with my colleagues from the food networks that you saw in the second film. And I met on a conference, I met Marta. And maybe that's a good moment to introduce Marta and to go a little bit into the story of how the project developed since that while. Marta, would you like to?
Hi. Hi to all of you, and thank you for being here and have the opportunity to tell a little bit about our story. So I have lived here in Mértola 17 years, but until I was 28, I lived near the sea, and actually near one of the beautiful forests in Portugal that is in Sintra, and it is called the Moon Mountains. And this is probably why I also was influenced to choose to study forestry. But ironically, I choose to move and live in the most desertified area of the country. This is Alentejo, the south part, interior south part of Portugal, and specifically here in Mértola. But this choice to live here was not an accident. Actually, my parents are from Alentejo, and like many of their generation, and still it happens that young people have to leave from Alentejo and go to Lisbon or even to other countries, but at that time was to Lisbon, to the big city, to search for a job and to a better life. And Alentejo was, and it still is, one of the weakest regions in Europe. But so that's why I choose to come to here, because actually I thought that behind all this apparent scarcity that we have here, there was also a lot of good things and abundance that we could use and work. So I came to here and I started working a lot of projects trying to create value here. But despite of the good intentions, I realized that the way that I was working on projects that was really competing for funds, it's the way that small NGOs and local small associations have to do. But then maybe I didn't have the necessary attention for the purpose, for the original purpose that I came to here. So I need to stop a little bit and to think what I want to do and with whom and how. And it was not the what, but especially the how I was going to do that. And so after some reflection, I tried to look for the people here, but also in other places of the world that could help us on this path. that's when I met Katharina. But also other people like Filipe Pazzini, Diana Andrade, Livia. I don't know, there is so many people in our lives now that are helping here. People here from the community that was here, but that I was not seeing them and they was not seeing each other, that we start to work together and co-creating a joint process. That comes and starts with the local community. So we went looking for good practices around the world in other semi-arid regions, and we dare to try and to act. We started planting in syntropic agriculture, and we try to know more about regenerative agriculture techniques. But above all, we try to cultivate partnerships without fear of experimentation, without fear of error, assuming the mistake has been part of this process. This is how many of our initiatives were born here. So we start in a small garden, a vegetable garden in syntropic farming. Then we start also trying other regenerative techniques, but we didn't have people to farm here because, as we said, young people don't want more to do farming and they go away. So we start the program also to bring people to here. So people who want to dream and co-create with us. And so last year we bring two new families, one from Brazil, others from here, but that start also to co-create these projects. And this year we are also starting inviting a family from Lisbon, but also 7 young people from Afghanistan. Some they are young refugees that working on permaculture that are coming here and learn and share knowledge with us. Also, as we thought that was quite important in the long-term process to involve the education, we start also a project in the schools, and here in Mértola we have like all the primary schools have a forest garden in there, and also we start therapeutical gardens in the small village, more with the elders and cultivating these spaces, bringing forests also. But there is a big constraint that we don't have adapted plants and seeds. Much of the knowledge about the varieties and plants that came to here at many years ago in the Islamic period was lost with modern agriculture that tend to use just a few number of plants. And we thought maybe if we could find again what those planters were, where they are now, and to try them and to see that if we could use these plants, more adapted plants here for all these vegetable gardens that are burning now, that for the gardens on the schools, for the therapeutical gardens, but also there is some regenerative farmers coming, not just for Mértola, but also now to the municipalities around that wants to become part of this process. And this part of having access to plants and seeds, it's completely important. So this dream already began, you saw it on the video, but still we need to improve the facilities and infrastructures. We need to ensure that we have human resources. Mértola is not just only one of the most desertified areas of Europe. It's also probably the most depopulated area of Europe. We have just 4.8 inhabitants per square kilometer. So it's quite difficult to attract also qualified people to come here. So this is difficult, and to give them capacities also to this dream. So we believe that in the future we can really do these projects, but we need some help on this. We need people that want not just finance help, but we need also people that wants to dream with us. We need technical capacities. We need a lot of different support who wants to come here and dare to dream with us. That is the most difficult part, actually. And that's why we're here today. So thank you so much to be here.
Wow. Thank you so much, Marta. I mean, what you are doing is amazing. I would love to go to Mértola one day, actually, to be of help. And like I said, I think we're coming together. Look at this amazing like global community here. I think we can all help in different capacities and different ways. I mean, literally, we have a powerhouse of global super connectors, social entrepreneurs, impact investors, advocates of the earth here, right? I think really it's about how can we connect the dots and activate in different ways. All of us, right, can share and activate our superpowers and gifts to help. So can you share a little bit about the ripple effects of how this is happening? Because I know, Katharina, you told me the story about how the spirit of Mértola was created. I would love to hear that. Have you share that story with us here? And Katharina, Marta. And we have Christina here with us as well.
Exactly, Christina's here as well. So over the years, many, many miracles. I think, Marta, that's right. We didn't plan things really much from the beginning. So this wasn't a project that was, planned and done, there were different parts of the dream which different people were holding for many years. And then we were sort of attracting always amazing people that came, like even Ernst Götz then coming really to Mértola, and many, many others as well. And over these years, it's like as if this river or this region is sort of speaking to the world and attracting those people that hear the voice. And that was a little bit the same for Christina, who is here in this call as well. A few years ago, she came and she worked with us on the land. And actually her superpower or her gift is that she is a perfume artist. So she was intrigued by some of the plants because, in these areas where it's the soil is so degraded and it's really bare soil, the first ones that come usually you would consider to be weeds, right? But the first one that comes actually are those also that have a lot of strength because of the sun and the extreme conditions. And some of them are really powerful healing plants, like the cistros, for example, that it's like the first one that is coming when there's bare soil, because bare soil is like a wound, yeah. And it's the first one that is starting to cover this wound. And interestingly enough, it does the same with the skin. So I recommend that no man should be without it when he wants to be shaving before a meeting, because it's actually really good. So when one has a little scratch somewhere, it heals very much. So at one point, Christina came, and maybe you want to share a little bit about your superpower of what to do with these healing plants. Christina, would you like to share?
Yes. So when I first met Katharina, she was in Zurich and she had essential oils from Mértola. And she heard from a common friend that I was working with essential oils. And so we met and I smelled the oils. And my first impression was, wow, they're super strong. They're very special. They have a very special quality. And at some point during the conversation, she asked what I do. And then I said, I create fragrances with essential oils. And I mentioned the scent I created for Ibiza when I was living there. And then she looked at me and she said, oh, would you like to come to Mértola and create a fragrance called Spirit of Mértola? And I said, yeah, sure. Tell me when to come. And then a few weeks later, I was in Mértola. And by chance, there was this conference with Ernst Götz of syntropic farming. And it was magical. It was quite magical, this Mértola experience, I have to say. I saw the land, I smelled. We went for a harvest of eucalyptus, a distillation. I met the local distillers. I talked to people. How does the spirit of Mértola feel to you? I went for walks, and anyway, I got all these oils, these powerful oils, and after a week there, I sat down and I tuned in and I thought, okay, what? And then of course I talked to Katharina also, what is the purpose of this fragrance? And the main purpose was to create a fragrance for the people involved in the project, to, you know, because they were coming from different places and international, and the community, the council, the municipality, the farmers and everything. And it was to bring them together and then give them perseverance in their vision and harmonize the working together. And also to inspire other people who want to weave the same dream. And also to reflect the land, you know, the qualities of the land of Mértola. And so in 6 months, I created the Spirit of Mértola. It looks like this. I don't know if you see it. It's a little roll-on. And I put, the main oils are lavender, a type of lavender that grows in Mértola, a special lavender for harmony and grounding. And it's like a mother. Lavender is like a big mother, you know, holding all together. And cistus, of course, which is basically the main plant there. It grows like weed, and it's a very deep oil, the cistus. It works on soul level. And like Katharina said also, it's very balsamic. It's very earthy, very balsamic. It's a lovely, lovely, when you go to Mértola in March and you step out of the car, you smell this beautiful labdanum and cistus. It's amazing. And the myrtle, which is very purifying and clarifying. And then I put also eucalyptus and rosemary and Spanish salvia, I think. And helichrysum, of course. Helichrysum is a very healing plant. So yeah, it's a delicious blend. I love it. It's very like you have an initial burst of this freshness, and then it's quite balsamic and soothing, and it's very gentle on the skin. And if you smell it, you can travel to Mértola in 1 second without going there. So it's really, really nice.
It's like the perfect name also from what you're describing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for creating it. Thank you for sharing the story, because I love to hear how the ripple effects is already starting, right? And Marta, you mentioned about, like, you know, there are no mistakes, right? There are really no mistakes, right? We're all meant to find each other, and we're all meant to find each other in different ways. Even today, right? The fact that we all of us who showed up here today, you know, something resonated, right? About seeding the future together, that resonated with all of us. So yeah, thank you. We have more people joining even now, actually. So Katharina, Marta, do you want to share a little bit about what specifically you see? I can share the screen also, because like I said, what really resonated with me a lot too is, you know, as a global traveler, one of the things I really love when I travel is to enjoy the culture, but to experience and feel the spirit of the land and the people and the culture. And like when I saw this project, I felt like it gave me a chance to really experience the spirit, right, of Mértola, and that's why I want to kind of shine the light for that reason. So when I looked at, you know, this page, right, this stuff up to learn about the project, first of all, it says we make it, which I love. But then when you go and actually like support the project, right, like when I used to go, like the travel, I love like getting things from the places, and the fact that, right, we can support by also experience, you know, like the spirit of Mértola and the citrus oil that Katharina talks about. Like I've never heard of this until, like, you know, I talked to Katharina. So the fact is, you get a chance to experience, you know, the seeds, right, of the land, which is amazing. So, and also can go take a holiday there one day. This really spoke to me. And, you know, being a member circle, you know, so I mean, for me, it's about finding amazing things and amazing people. So I encourage everyone to just, like take a look. When I watched the video, like I've watched this like so many times already because it really spoke to me. But yeah, Katharina, Marta, do you want to share a little bit more about what is the immediate needs, seeks, things that,
Yeah,
you've helped?
maybe it's really this it's an acupuncture point, as Marta pointed out. It sounds something very small. It's a nursery about these forgotten varieties, and it's about, but in a way, and this is the local thing, right? It's many, many areas in the world will have the same issues, and I think we can all share about the different patterns and learnings and how we've been creating and building up these initiatives. And yet there are certain things which are very local. And one of them is the seeds and plants that are adapted. And we need, although the knowledge can be spread around the semi-arid climate zone, but we need to do it there under the extreme conditions of Mértola, because, the amplitudes in the winter of temperature can be 30 degrees, right, per day. So it's extreme, and it's really these long periods of drought and the semi-arid conditions that require that one has really these plants. And this is like an acupuncture point for all the healing that can then happen also on bigger areas. And just to the ripple effects when you drive from Lisbon there and you go through these landscapes of really drought and only a few oaks, so a squirrel cannot jump from one to the other anymore, that are left. And then you find this area which smaller gardens, smaller plots that are regenerated. You saw them in the film. And that suddenly the soil is being built up, abundance of different, diversity of plants. This is so healing to see that the soil remembers that it actually can be done. And this is, like Marta has touched on it, how it got the ripple effects, because the other farmers, they only change if they see that it worked, and it actually worked through peer-to-peer learning. So no one told any farmer what to do. It was actually the opposite. It was just only inviting, and in the pilot areas doing it. And then afterwards, many of them are now joining, as Marta said, and they all would need access to these kind of plants and seeds. And I just wanted to bring in terms of, the scaling and the big effects, because what we are actually aiming to do is, sometimes we speak about it's planting water. We're not going to water plants, but to do it the other way around, to plant water. Mm. And the idea is really to from all these things that we prepared in the let's say social soil, in the community, in the peer-to-peer and between the farmers, that it can now have ripple effects and emerge elsewhere. And Marta, would you like to add on that?
Yeah, maybe to say that when Christine came here, that she already knew the essential oils that you had given to her to try in Switzerland, and then she came here, and it was on the conference with Ernst Götz, and at the end of the conference, we invite this group that you hear a little bit singing to sing in the end, and they were singing about the land, about the scarcity, and at the end of the conference, Christine was outside, and I came. I went to her, and she said that she had smelled the oils of the plants, but she didn't understood the spirit of Mértola. But now that she had heard the singers, she understood that the spirit, what they were talking about, what they were singing, was about resilience, and that touched me so much. Wow. Because it really is.
I love that. The spirit of Mértola is about resilience. So in the spirit of connecting the dots, I would love to hear from this global community, to see what's coming through. Are there any dots that you see that could be of help, or just ideas, or just your thoughts. I see Elizabeth here. Elizabeth, she's the founder of Future Design Initiatives and many, many amazing projects. So Elizabeth, would love to hear from you. Like what thoughts are coming through for you as you hear this?
Gosh, so many. Thank you so much, Lisa and Katharina. Wonderful to be with you. And Marta, thank you so much for sharing. I think the preponderant sort of energy that's coming through is just this different moment in history that we're in, and the opportunity to really evolve, to be supportive. You know, I think this cooperation and finding ways to help support each other's dreams and what's coming through in our individual realms, and also what can then be magnified among and through space-time here. Just really hearing and feeling that at a cellular level more and more. That's the primary thing that's coming through here, Lisa. And obviously there are very specific dots that I'm anticipating others on this call will be able to bring into the dialogue further. I'll stop there so that we have an opportunity to hear from others. Thanks so much, Lisa, for pulling this amazing group together.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I'm hearing some background noise, by the way, so feel free to mute and unmute as we hear. So, Amui, I would love to hear from you. I think you mentioned you have a comment here. I know you're calling from Africa. Can you share a little bit about your thoughts? And you put a comment here in the chat.
Yeah. Okay. I will use this opportunity to thank you once again, Lisa, for coming up with this fantastic discussion about syntropic and regenerative farming. Yeah, you know, Africa, we are going through a whole lot of challenges. The smallholder farmers are going through a whole lot of challenges. They are using bad ways of farming, which is hurting the land a lot. And we are also having challenges of miners degrading the environment. So what we can do now is we have to change the mindset of the farmers. And also there must be an advocacy of the miners to stop mining along the water bodies. So in this case, we can have a perfect ecosystem and environment. In fact, this discussion is very dear to my heart. It's very dear. I heard of syntropic farming from one friend on LinkedIn. She was the one who introduced me to regenerative and syntropic farming. And I did research on syntropic farming. One thing I learned about syntropic farming is syntropic farming helps to revitalize our soil, and it also improves our biodiversity. So today's discussion is fantastic.
Wow. So wonderful to have you here. So you see how the dots are connecting. We're connecting Europe with Africa right now, right? We're sharing wisdom and knowledge. So yeah, this is really great. Yeah, thank you. Bobby, we'd love to hear from you. I see that you have some comments here. We'd love to invite you to express your voice. This is a place to be heard and to be seen.
Thank you, Lisa. Longtime Chicagoan. 6 years ago, we came to New Mexico, just between Albuquerque and Santa Fe, at a place where the land has been very degraded over the years. And I love hearing about the syntropic farming and what it's been able to do, and learning about this initiative. We hooked up with a group of people who call themselves resilient placitas.
Wow.
And so I can feel the weaving and the dots connecting and the acupressure points kind of connecting with each other deep within the earth. So there's a lot that I want to learn. My main thing is not specifically the hands-on seeds. It's more the holding the greater space, the intention field, And that's what some of my buddies in Resilient Placitas have had success doing. So I'm listening and learning and very excited to be connected, and just, I love it. I love it. And the spirit of Mértola just really calls to me, the oil and the spirit and the whole thing.
Yes, we are all connected, you see. Thank you so much, Bobby. And Mitch, I would love to hear from Mitch. Mitch is connected with so many communities that are working on regeneration, like green energy. And Mitch, would love to hear from you. What's coming through?
Sure. Beautiful to be here. Thank you for the invitation, and happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day.
I see a lot of pink. I'm sorry. I wore it yesterday. I forgot for today. Please forgive me. But well, Lisa, I was thinking as I was listening initially when I came on board here just now, a little while ago, of a beautiful interview I did with Deborah Coons Garcia up in the top of Mill Valley in her house. She's Jerry Garcia's last wife. And she took the money from the Grateful Dead work and made a lot of films. And one of them, so gorgeous, is called Symphony of the Soil. And I was searching around for it to see if I could put it into the chat, but I have to go digging deeper. That's not a pun, by the way, but it's what I meant. But it's beautiful, and it's all on regenerative farming and the wisdom behind it, and the antiquity of it, actually. Even though it seems new, there's nothing new about it. It's just there are, thankfully, new ways of entering that space, and a new, and now even a scientific appreciation of the world of worms and how beautiful that is and what it means for us from the point of view of healthy food and plants and carbon sequestration and all of that. And along my journey, and I know you were pointing a finger to that, Lisa, is when I was in Ecuador this past September, I met another dear brother of mine, Dakota, who came on the call a little while ago, who has something called the Cohere Network. And his background is as a Frank Lloyd Wright architect. And now he's taking that intelligence and weaving it into a beautiful network of global communities, conscious communities. And at the heart of that, by the way, is working with the soil and building food systems internally for each community, as we're all seeking to become more and more self-reliant and autonomous and sovereign. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of share that. There's a lot more, but I don't want to take too much time right now. But on my website, abetterworld.net, I'll put it into the chat.
That would be great.
I have, a number of podcasts. It's called A Better World Radio and TV and podcasts on these subjects and related. So, you may enjoy it.
Thank you so much. You see how we're all anchoring the light and doing different things around the planet right now. And so why don't we bring Dakota from Ecuador here to say a few words also. Dakota, we'd love to hear from you.
Well, good to be here, guys. Yeah, I just really love learning about the different projects, and regenerative agriculture is just so key to, I think, our ability to thrive. Yeah, with Cohere, what we're doing is we've built an economic model to help many communities come together, as well as help finance new communities. And we've created a model where basically we can decentralize ownership amongst an ever-growing commons. And we really believe the new gold of our time is food, water, and community. And so, yeah, I just really love the project there in Portugal, you guys. Thank you so much for sharing. It's really beautiful. And yeah, that's what you're doing is so aligned with our passions, and I'd love to connect with you and see if we can help in any way. And it's great to be here with you guys.
Amazing to have you. And I would love to invite Ari, founder of Share It, to the spotlight to share his thoughts. Ari.
Thank you, Lisa, for this amazing sharing and invitation. And I really feel I just see the people here and one becomes more optimistic about the ability to change the world and to make it a better place for us. And yes, Share It created a platform in which people can, through a marketplace, can begin to create their own local economy, shopping without money, starting with exchanging what we have around, but then it will expand to other needs of communities. But what I love about the work that has been done in Mértola, it really goes into the land, into the people. And when I look at the way community is working, the amazing thing about the community that it works. I mean, so many people, so much differences and emotions, and still there's something that holds these people and manage to break through it. And when I look at this is absolutely beautiful, because the desertification of the soil is also the desertification of the souls of the people. And we can see that just like the farmers are creating the food, and they can create healthy food only when the soil is healthy. And then there's something to give to the soil of the human being, which is his body. But then you see that the communities are also in desertification, like Marta described in such a moving way. So without taking care of what I call the farmers of the soul, which is the artist, and every person is an artist. That's why hearing this sound, this singing of farmers that are there and working is something very precious. And we as society somehow degraded the farmers and the artists that in a certain way, for me, they are the priests of our society. These are the people who are doing the holy thing, giving us healthy food and giving us a culture, so they can, the nutrition for the soul, the art, the singing, the moving, the celebration, the ability to do things together. And the community for me is like a compost in a certain way for the development of the individual, because the friction, the processes are very challenging. I was born in a kibbutz in Israel, so I know what it is to live in a community. I lived all my life. This is the most beautiful and difficult thing that I know. And I think that this work in Mértola is so precious for me because it is done by the people who are living there. And it is not done in some ideal community, which is also beautiful, of people who come and bring their friends and try to have a beautiful community. These are the farmers, these are the people. So I love this squirrel that has been jumping on the trees all the way from Spain and Portugal to Italy. And I'm still waiting to see when enough trees will come up and we'll see the squirrels beginning to jumping back from Italy, because I still see them in Italy. But anyway, thank you, Marta, Katharina, and all the people. And I hope we can all help to contribute to this amazing, beautiful dream.
Yes, well said, Ari. And this is truly a local global community, right? And this is why we are stronger together. So I would love to, I love enabling us to have a space to be connected, to be heard, to be seen. So I'm going to do a breakout room. We're going to give everyone a minute I'm going to have a breakout room of 3 people each, right? This is a chance for you to share who you are and what your passion project is. And then we're going to come back to the big room.